Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have a crazy story that I want to share with you guys. Actually, I have several stories I want to share with you guys, but before I get into that, I actually have to take a minute to say thank you to some of you guys. These are the real top G's. These are people who have become channel members, and I am so grateful for that. I appreciate you guys so much. I can't begin to tell you how good it feels to know that if I'm putting the work in and taking the risks that I'm taking and covering the stories that I cover, that I have you guys here willing to support me monthly. And that gives me the freedom to talk about the things that I want to talk about that maybe are not necessarily advertiser friendly. So I really appreciate that. I first have to give a shout out to Berglander. Berglander is actually one of my mods, but he has been a channel member the longest. He was the first person to become a member when I first opened up memberships, which is just amazing. Dr. Turd Ferguson Esquire, my second longest member of the channel, then Vibe AI, who, by the way, put out a very cool tribute video to myself and my dream on his channel. So I encourage y'all to check that out. IWD, thank you so much. Philip Essaya, I'm probably butchering your name. I apologize for that. Thank you so much. And Typing Chimp, thank you for becoming a member. I really do appreciate it, and I will try to do more for people who become channel members. Memberships have been opened up. Right now, I have little custom emojis for channel members, and I will be adding to that because I think that now I have enough where I can have more than just 4 custom emojis. And like I said, I can't really do much for you guys. I'm not able to create special content just for you because I'm working so hard on my documentary, but just know that you are enabling me to do projects like that, to cover the things I want to talk about, to take the time to work on a documentary if I so choose, or write a long form article. You guys are giving me the freedom to do that, and I really appreciate it. Okay, so I want to go to this story first because I thought, oh, this is crazy. Let me make sure I am correctly that you guys can see me in this tiny little like box at the bottom here. That's so silly. Okay, so I saw this article and I didn't see it getting much attention. I thought this was crazy though. I am not a fan of facial recognition, AI, biometrics, or any of the WEF, Fourth Industrial Revolution, Smart City, UN Smart City nonsense. No, thank you. I do not wish to go into the digital gulag, but they're making it so that you really cannot, there's no way to opt out. And I will say, that it makes me believe, and I might end up doing just a series of videos on this down the line. If y'all want me to do that, let me know in the comments section. It makes me feel like Uncle Ted was right about industrial society, not the other stuff, like not how he went about trying to alert people to that or whatever, but he actually was right in many ways about like what he saw coming down the line, like in the future with technology and how that would create the ultimate form of like totalitarianism. I believe that he was correct about that. So if y'all want a separate series of videos on industrial society, just let me know. Oh my goodness. Poor Uncle Ted, like he was like totally a victim of MK Ultra, by the way, at Harvard. That was real. That's a thing. All right, so let's go back to this article. Sprawling US Intel project to improve long distance biometrics on college campuses. How about no? I mean, just think about the kind of future that we are going into. This is insane. A face, gait, and whole body biometric recognition project begun in 2019 by US national labs continues. So this is already in motion, friends. Research teams across the nation are working on better ways to more accurately identify subjects outdoors and from a distance. The latest news comes from a community college, College of DuPage, I hope I'm saying that right, west of Chicago. Scientists from the Oak Ridge National Lab have been working with school volunteers for the last month. Why though? What are y'all student volunteers doing? Like, why are you participating in this and contributing to it? Wrong. Students were given play money and told to move around as naturally as possible, visiting a faux bank, eating a snack, and rearranging the contents of a car, according to the college's marketing material. The project, known as Briar, this is freaking creepy. I'm sorry, but they always come up with like the craziest names for this stuff. Or biometric recognition and identification at altitude and range is supposed to come up with better situational awareness for U.S. intelligence agencies and the military. No, what they're saying is like, oh yeah, this is going to help us surveil the American people like better, which is unacceptable. No. That boost in awareness up at 300 meters or 900 feet could be used by snipers. Oh, yeah, guys, I'm sure that just sounds like a really good idea. Let's have another Waco or like another Ruby Ridge, because that's where this is going. I mean, in my opinion. Briar is managed by the Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Activity, or IARPA. So, not DARPA, IARPA, which is like DARPA for the intelligence agencies, not specifically the Pentagon and DoD. There's also allegedly like a HARPA, a health DARPA, that was being pushed under the Trump administration by Ivanka Trump. She was a big proponent of this, especially during COVID, but apparently it was scrapped or whatever. I mean, that's the official story, but it's all totalitarian and disturbing. Briar is managed by IARPA and includes tests involving cameras posted high in the air and on drones to find ways of seeing through the wavering effect of air turbulence. Oak Ridge scientists are part of a nationwide set of Briar projects overseen by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, and the Army Combat Capabilities Developmental Command, C5ISR Center, and the Research and Technology Integration Directorate. Yes, that all sounds like something like coming out of communism, you know, like the whatever commissar, like they just have these long crazy names for like totalitarian projects to make it sound just like a middle management like innocuous thing, you know. It's so messed up. Briar contracts were awarded to private enterprises Accenture Federal Services, Intelligent Automation, and Kitware, and universities such as Michigan State University. Remember that, keep that in your mind, Michigan. The University of Houston and University of Southern California to address the full range of research objectives. Focused research grants were given to teams from Carnegie Mellon University and General Electric Research. The U.S. state of Alabama, as part of Briar, has parceled federal grants to small businesses, one of which is Polaris Sensor Technologies, according to the Huntsville Business Journal. The firm is developing algorithms capable of facial recognition, regardless of the hour, from up to 1,600 feet or 500 meters. So this is all about AI. It's all about biometrics and constant surveillance. So there are some other articles here, in other biometric news that you guys can read. I will include the links to this stuff in the video description. Remember that University of Michigan, right? So Michigan was part of this biometric thing. Now they're also part of another interesting campaign, the Science of Censorship, being perfected at Michigan and Michigan State and funded by you. This is an article from JP Isbell, published January 31st, 2023. out of Lansing. In a shocking report coming out of the Foundation for Freedom Online, we've learned that the National Science Foundation is handing out millions of dollars in grant money to private companies and universities in order to better control what is said and seen on social media and to develop huge databases to track people using AI based systems. Again, using artificial intelligence to control everything. They're creating a totalitarian grid that you will not be able to opt out of. It's turning into something I think far worse than China's like Sesame credit, because China, let's just be honest, China is incompetent largely, and they rely on US intellectual property. You know, while everybody is concerned about a Chinese spy balloon flying around in the air, China has already penetrated our critical infrastructure via Israel. They have already penetrated our nuclear technology that was given to them in 1964 by the Israeli government. They are inside of all of our technology. They steal intellectual property all the time in corporate espionage. And you know, it just like that, it goes unrecognized. They're already infiltrating our country via the southern border. There were 3 Chinese nationals that were stopped recently coming into the border that said that they had paid something like $20,000 to $30,000 to smugglers to get them in. They're flooding the border with fentanyl, enough fentanyl to wipe out, you know, the entire country. And people are oh, this balloon, yeah, guys, it's a little bit worse than that. uh but anyways, that's a tangent. I'm so sorry, guys. You know how I get when I get on like a topic. I just get so enraged sometimes that like I've been talking about freaking China's penetration of critical infrastructure since 2018 on the internet, and finally people are starting to recognize that that's a problem. But you know, if you're only talking about the Chicoms and you're removing the critical element of their main technology partner, Israel, I think that you're doing a disservice. It is very important to recognize also Israel's role with Russia. Go check out the articles that say that Israel should be replacing the US with Russia as a basically national security partner. So just keep this stuff in mind, all right? And let's not also forget about that time Israel planted stingray devices all over Washington D.C. to spy on the White House under the Trump administration. And like literally nothing happened and nobody cared. I think that's a little bit more egregious than a Chinese spy balloon, you know, but that's just me being crazy, I guess. Okay, so this is though getting back on point. It is very scary, and I hope people understand the seriousness of what this is proposing, because there isn't really a going backwards. Once they've already taken certain liberties amongst themselves, the federal government and the intelligence community, that is, to install things like a censorship regime using artificial intelligence and algorithms to literally control and socially engineer every aspect of society from top to bottom, from bottom to top, you cannot walk that back. There is no going back. And so that is why it is super important that we talk about it. And I hope you guys will share this video and the articles. The NSF has spent 38.8 million on government grants to fund the censorship of quote unquote misinformation since Joe Biden was elected, with 64 grants given to 42 different colleges and universities for them to develop censorship tools and operations. So using universities, of course, that was something that the CIA used when they were running their MK Ultra program. You know, a lot of people don't talk about that, but there were many American universities that were complicit in MK Ultra, human experimentation, mind control projects. That is documented, well documented. So it's not a conspiracy theory, it is a fact. And I think that that needs to be considered when we look at stuff like this. You know, it just seems like all of these universities are on board with this, and this is why I kind of caution against going to college anymore nowadays and getting a college degree. It's essentially government indoctrination. It's not like they're teaching critical thinking. They're not. Although this seems like a scene out of a science fiction movie, the facts are undeniable. Tools are being developed all over the country and colleges and universities to assist the federal government through NSF grants to disregard the First Amendment, which says explicitly that they cannot abridge the freedom of speech. What is coming out of the NSF is called the Convergence Accelerator Track F Domestic Censorship Project, and it includes a plethora of government-funded censorship technologies. With a budget of about $10 billion and a recent 18% increase requested from Congress, the foundation serves as a huge federal source of academic research funding, and they make up 90% of the university research grants concerning computer science. Although the Convergence Accelerator program was started under the Trump administration. So that's another thing. Get it in your head that there is a national security state, I don't want to use the boomer term deep state, but that I don't really know any other way to describe it. There's an entrenched bureaucracy of people who really are running things regardless of whatever party is superficially in power at any given time. There's an entire federal bureaucracy, 17 different intelligence agencies, tons of different organizations, all moving toward, a certain goal, shall we say, and it doesn't matter who's in there or not, that agenda always advances, it always continues. So keep that in mind. It was meant to integrate research and innovation into areas like quantum technology, which heavily impacts things like space exploration. However, the FOF says the Biden administration added Track F, which is dedicated to the science of censorship. The NSF's 2022 literature says that it was created because, quote, although false claims have existed throughout history, the problems that they caused have reached critical proportions, and the NSF describes the program as one that builds trust and authenticity in communications, quote unquote. This is literally thought police stuff, okay? According to the FOF, the goals of Convergence Accelerator Track F are quite similar to the ones that came out of the, quote, military-grade social media network censorship and monitoring tools developed by the Pentagon for the counterinsurgency and counterterrorism context abroad. The primary goals of DARPA are listed as detecting, classifying, and measuring and tracking what they call disinformation ideas and memes. So, yeah, you shitposter on the Chans or on the Fediverse, your memes are that terrifying to them. And they take this stuff very seriously. It is why the guys in the Michigan case, tying it back into Michigan, that's the thread of all these stories today, really, for the most part. That's a big part of why they were targeted. It was because of spicy memes and political opinions. Recognizing persuasion campaign structures and influence operations across social media sites and communities, identify participants and intent. No, an AI cannot discern human intent and measure effects of persuasion campaigns, counter messaging of detected adversary influence operations. This new science of censorship, as the FOF calls it, includes WiseDex, which is led by the University of Michigan and promoted on their website for the School of Information Center for Social Media Responsibility page. The FOF reports WiseDex harnesses the wisdom of crowds and AI technology to help flag more social media posts. The WiseDex promo video says that the result is a more comprehensive, equitable, and consistent enforcement, significantly reducing the spread of what they deem misinformation, but what is really just dissent. FOF says WiseDex is building sprawling databases of banned keywords and factual claims to sell to companies like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. It then integrates the banned claims databases into censorship algorithms so that harmful misinformation stops reaching big audiences. WiseDex has received $750 in taxpayer-funded grants during phase 1 of the project, with a potential $5 million more available. In order to keep track of so much information and people, another grant was given out to the Course Correct, which is led by the University of Wisconsin. FOF says their program, which includes a dashboard they've developed, allows the U.S. government to directly and deliberately sponsor the construction of massive databases of misinformation tweeters, misinformation retweeters, misinformation followers, and misinformation followees for censorship and tracking. It says that Course Correct primarily targets Americans who are thought dissidents into two main topic areas: hesitancy and electoral skepticism. To assist in the science of censorship, a DARPA worker is now in the NSF's Convergence Accelerator program. Dr. Douglas Mahan, a previous DARPA program manager, now oversees the TrackF censorship projects. He also previously worked with the NSA and DHS. Over the past few years, we've seen governments, media, social media platforms, and self-appointed fact-checkers being the arbiters of truth, deciding who gets flagged, banned, suspended, deleted, and canceled. Now we have Michigan State University using an NSF grant to study local social media community groups in an effort to build better tools to control how they operate. In the fall of 2022, MSU received $203,000 in grant money to help assist the federal government with censorship information gathering regarding threats in local communities, quote unquote. Their research involves mapping, quote, how volunteer moderators are functioning as gatekeepers of local civic information and first responders to information threats within online local community groups. First responders to what? Tweets you don't like? Like, oh, we gotta triage this dissent on the internet, and like, what? It's nuts. The grant info says the project is a, quote, crucial first step toward building effective tools, social, technological, and policy that can support moderators of online community groups in their efforts to respond to the threats caused by information pollution. This is a Soviet made-up concept like hate speech. So while Americans are signing up to join popular local community social media groups, MSU is working to make sure content moderators are censoring information the right way, as they face, quote, significant threats to information quality, unquote, because they are untrained volunteers who are serving as the first line of defense. The project has three goals. Number one, addressing how well the platform companies prepare local group moderators to face info threats. Two, understand how local group moderators manage information threats in their everyday practices. And three, understanding how moderator practices respond to challenges during periods of increased information quality threats. The research will expand the knowledge of how to better support volunteer moderators on Facebook, Nextdoor, and Reddit, who they say are the gatekeepers of local information infrastructure. This will be done by an analyst of the tools and training used to provide to moderators, an 8-week remove community study with moderators of local groups, and follow-up interview study examining moderator practices. The collaborative grant was given to ComArt Sci professor and associate dean for strategic initiatives, Kirsten Thorsten, to oversee the project in collaboration with Pennsylvania State University and Arizona State University. Thorsten said in an online MSU press release, quote, as local news media has declined, digital platforms like Facebook and Nextdoor here quickly become sources of local information for many people in some communities. Online groups are one of the last remaining places to find what is happening locally. We decided we wanted to better understand gatekeepers of these local groups, the volunteer content moderators who decide what is acceptable to post, whether to delete or disallow certain kinds of content, and who supports the kinds of connections and conversations that happen in these spaces. These new gatekeepers often face difficult situations, such as having to deal with partisan disagreements or even the presence of disinformation. Michigan News Source reached out to Michigan State University about the progress of this grant, which was awarded in September 2022. But Sydney Hawkins, a director of PR for the university, says there's nothing new to report on the grant right now since the project is just getting started. Absolutely insane. Michigan State University also received an additional $109,000 from the NSF for something called, quote, extracting the backbone of unweighted networks, which boils down grant money for analyzing best methods to collect and analyze censorship data. The NSF website concerning the grant says, quote, backbone extraction involves identifying and retaining only the most important relationships, which yields a simpler network that can be more readily analyzed and visualized. In addition to the Wise Duck project, that is out of the University of Michigan, they also received $83,000 for a project to, quote, measure protest legacies in non-democratic states and how large-scale protests are missed opportunities to improve understanding of why some cases of mobilization leads to renewed protest and unexpected regime change, and others build regime support. Although the government has been on a path to control freedom of speech in America, the American people have been so far moderately protected by their own gatekeepers, including the Supreme Court. Supreme Court Justice Anthony M. Kennedy wrote in 2002, quote, First Amendment freedoms are most in danger when the government seeks to control thought or to justify its laws for that impermissible end. The right to think is the beginning of freedom, and speech must be protected from the government because speech is the beginning of thought. That is absolutely true, and good on her for reporting that. And this, again, is something I have not seen anybody else covering, talking about, people who care about censorship. I think they're just unaware of it. So moving on here, this kind of ties in. WEF admits they want to hack your brain and monitor it for thought crimes in scary new video. So let's play this because it's all connected, friends.
First off, a video. It's going to make you see the future and understand a wonderful future where we can use brainwaves to fight crime, be more productive, and find love. Let's roll.
Unreal.
You're in the zone. Even you can't believe how productive you've been.
Oh. Fitter, happier, more productive. Like, what is the what's the Radiohead song that was like talking about this crap in the future? Like, digital totalitarianism sold as like, ooh, we're more efficient, you know, if we just have pre-crime and thought police, we could be more productive. What?
Your memo is finished, your inbox is under control, and you're feeling sharper than you have in a decade. Sensing your joy, your playlist shifts to your favorite song, sending chills up your spine as the music begins to play. You glance at the program running in the background on your computer screen and notice a now familiar sight that appears whenever you're overloaded with pleasure. Your theta brainwave activity decreasing. Could you take a quick look at my brain data? Anything to worry about? Your mind starts to wander to the new colleague on your team, whom you know you shouldn't be daydreaming about.
What? Could you look at my brain data? Oh, hey guys, could you like scan my brain and read my mind? I just want to make sure I'm not having any of those scary thought crimes.
Given the policy against intra-office romance. But you can't help fantasizing just a little. But then you start to worry that your boss will notice your amorous feelings when she checks your brain activity and shift your attention back to the present.
What?
You breathe a sigh of relief when the email she sends you later that day congratulates you on your brain metrics from the past quarter, which have earned you another performance bonus.
This is sick.
You head home jamming to the music with your work-issued brain-sensing earbuds still in. When you arrive at work the next day, a somber cloud has fallen over the office. Along with emails, text messages, and GPS location data, the government has subpoenaed employees' brainwave data from the past year. They have compelling evidence that one of your coworkers has committed massive wire fraud. Now, they're looking for his co-conspirators. You discover they are looking for synchronized brain activity between your coworker and the people he has been working with. While you know you're innocent of any crime, you've been secretly working with him on a new startup venture. Shaking, you remove your earbuds.
What the fuck is this? Like, I'm sorry to curse, but like, what? These people are insane. Ready for brain transparency? How about no? How about we don't do
First
that?
off, a video. It's going to make you...
How about no? How about we're not monitoring for thought crimes? It's just not happening. Okay, so before I end the video, I know that was like super disturbing, guys. Like, I'm sorry, but someone's got to tell you about this stuff. I want to encourage everybody to please follow the official Twitter account for my documentary K and K, an FBI terror plot. It is at K and K Film on the Twitters right here. I only have 121 followers for that. Come on, y'all. Help a girl out. Just want to also encourage you guys to please subscribe to the at K&K Film official YouTube channel for the documentary. We only have 528 subscribers there, and we've only gotten 3.2K views on the trailer, the official trailer for my documentary that I put out on like 5 days ago. It was, I think, the 31st. So that was when we premiered it, and I really want to encourage you guys to go watch that trailer if you haven't already. The links to all of this will be in the video description, and this is also the fundraiser right now for funding the documentary. So this is super important so we can actually finish it, because this stuff costs a lot of money. I've already spent a lot of my own money, and in order to finish the documentary, I need to pay some people. I have to travel to a bunch more locations. So we need to reach a fundraising goal of around $150,000. It's a high number. I know it sounds like a lot, but that's really very, very little for a feature-length professional documentary. I have to pay to license music. I have to have some legal advice because of the content matter, and you know what it's like when you're going up literally against the federal government and exposing their wrongdoing in a film like this. Everything has to be perfect. It has to be, you know, double, triple checked, fact checked, independently verified before the film is released publicly. And so, you know, I know that that it seems like a lot, but for in terms of filmmaking for a documentary of this size, it's actually quite little. You can look up what they usually cost. Totally, you know, this is our first time doing a documentary, and I would really appreciate anything you're able to contribute so we can get this film finished. And the sooner that I meet the fundraising goal, the sooner that I can get the documentary delivered for you guys, get it completed and released. I'd like to be able to, if we can hit our fundraising goals, I'd like to be able to have the documentary out by the end of this year. We are already in February. It takes time to edit, to travel. So we really, if we want to hit that goal of releasing this by the end of the year this year, we have to raise the money so I can pay people that I need to help me with it, so I can travel. Everything I've been doing, like it all costs money, you know? And so yeah, any bit can help. And if you can share the documentary trailer, if you can do anything to help let people know about it, that would be great. I'll just play a little bit of it real quick because I'm so proud of this, guys. So proud of it.
Earlier today, Attorney General Dana Nessel was joined by officials from the Department of Justice and the FBI to announce state and federal charges against 13 members of 2 militia groups who were preparing to kidnap and possibly kill me.
We're grateful to the FBI and law enforcement to discover these domestic terrorists and stop them. You know, it's the sort of behavior you might expect from ISIS.
You might see a number that high in a sprawling narcotics conspiracy that stretches from coast to coast and beyond. That's a pretty high number in a case like this. It really reflects, I think, how deeply the government has been diving into this investigation to try to make these cases.
It was just literally a bunch of working class guys who on the weekend got together and, you know, exercised their rights and trained with firearms. So the FBI says, hey, we'll just pay for everything.
Who arranged the meeting? The FBI's paid provocateur. Robeson was getting paid to set this stuff up.
So they make the route, they set the locations, they make the plan, they do everything, and Adam's literally just sitting in the basement of a vacuum repair shop smoking blunts all day.
You're going to hear that my client was the leader of this group. But I think you're also going to hear that there was an election held to identify the leader. and it was Dana.
How can I frame this social situation to make this naive person appear to be a dangerous, violent terrorist? The whole goal was for the FBI to spend millions of dollars to create militia groups, record them saying offensive stuff, and then frame them in a fake conspiracy.
Let's go. I'm so proud of that. You know, that's the level of professionalism you can expect if we meet our fundraising goals and we're able to complete the documentary. So, anyways, I really appreciate it, guys. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel for the documentary. Share it if you can. Follow us on Twitter. It's at K&K Film. I think it's just K&K Film on Twitter. It's at K&K Film Official on YouTube. And if you do want to contribute to the fundraiser to fund the documentary, you could just go to www.knkfilm.com and it will redirect you to our Give Send Go, our fundraiser. So I really appreciate it. I'm so proud of it. I'd like to know what you guys think of it. Do you like the trailer? Do you think it looks interesting? Would you fund that documentary? Would you watch it? And also let me know your thoughts on the stories we covered today. They're not good. So it's like kind of depressing, but at least, you know, if we talk about it, if we get people aware of it, we can shut it down before it gets worse. So anyways, that's it. That's all I have for today, and I will see you guys later. Also, ew.